Yes, people, welcome back to the channel. And listen, I thought we'd talk about a little bit of transfer news as January is fast approaching. And we've lost out on Semenyo. It does seem like that has happened. But the talk of the town right now is Joshua Zirkzee seems to be on his way to Roma. And let's be clear, the Xerxi transfer has not worked out. It has failed miserably. And in recent games, if I'm going to be honest, he looks like a man that's checked out. Someone that has never really acclimatised to Premier League football, the intensity of it, the speed of it. Even though you've seen glimpses of his technical quality, even the things he's meant to be good at, which is hold-up play, link play, technical security, even that hasn't been consistent enough. And when you're not offering ball striking and you're not offering goal scoring and you're not offering being a box presence or being a physical focal point almost, all the other things that you probably need from a 9 in the Premier League, if you've got one calling card and it's being this kind of Firmino second striker, Hugo Ekitike from his Frankfurt days type of player, if that's not working for you, then what do you actually offer? And this is coming from someone that hasn't been critical of Xerxi as many others have been, because I have seen the almost backboard that I used to call him. Someone that I thought when you fire the ball into him, you know that he can hold it and he's going to find players around him and bounce it off, and then you can almost play off him. That part of his game has started to deteriorate, and I don't know whether he's always been like a bit of a rhythm player or someone that needs constant game time when he's runners off him, or almost like condition himself. Because I know from playing that sometimes those technical actions can lose sharpness when you're in and out of the team. You're not the fittest, because let's be right about Xerxi. He's had a lot of time here where you're kind of looking at him and you're thinking, is he in shape? And then you've got the likes of Wayne Rooney and Luke Shaw and these players that I talk about, where I feel like sometimes they need to play themselves into shape, no matter how much they do off the pitch, when they're running, gym. The way that these players stay in shape is by playing, and he's never really been able to kind of nail down a substantial role at United. He's 34 million. Probably haven't got return for investment on him. Even though at the time we thought, it might have been a little bit of a clever deal because he offers something a little bit different. As we had Højlund and you had Xerxi, and they're kind of getting different profiles of strikers. So you're thinking you can offer two different dynamics, whether you want to start with him or you want to start with Højlund, or it's always good to have alternative players, different weapons you can almost throw at teams. But unfortunately we found out that both weapons that we did have didn't damage teams enough. And the news is from Romano, is what I'm going to get into, is it looks to be like a loan to be a permanent. And if you're talking about Xerxi's performance the other day, you probably put in one of the worst cameos that I've seen in a long time. Just didn't look with it. Every time the ball came towards him, he looked scared of contact. He looked a bit flimsy. He was getting bullied. Wasn't running hard. Looked like he was completely off the pace. And I think he was actually a massive factor in Newcastle being able to sustain pressure the way they did in the second half. I know we dropped off, we were quite passive, but we needed, I think the reason why Iman brought him on was for his security in possession and to kind of hold the ball up for us and to be almost like the backboard to spring out into possible transitions, but we couldn't get out. And then his confidence started to go and he started to look like he got despondent, and it was proper 10 verse 11 when he was on the pitch. But anyway, it seems like the Xerxi story is coming to an end. I want to talk about what that means, but I want to talk about what the possible alternatives are, because United aren't exactly spoilt for choice when it comes to striker positions. Obviously Cooney's been playing there, but he'd rather play a little bit deeper. You've got Sesko, who still needs refinement. He's been injured a little bit and he's a massive work in progress. And then you got Xerxi, who seems like he's become a little bit of a lost cause. But anyway, Fabrizio Romano did tweet, I think it was a quote from his YouTube video actually, where he says, United have received an official bid from Roma for Joshua Zirkzee via intermediaries. It is a loan with potential obligation to buy. Roma have an agreement with Xerxi and he's already ready to join them. I feel like it looked that way when he was playing against Newcastle. And it all depends on United. But I think it seems like United won't be too quick to sign off on it because we don't have Ahmad, we don't have Mbumo. They're both AFCON, so we're a bit light in forward areas. Anyway, as you've seen, the benches that we've had the last few games, we've been dealing with injuries as well. And then you've got Benjamin Sesko, who's the only basically recognised 9 if Xerxi was to go at the club. And he's someone that is still finding his way within the team, within Premier League football. Is still a bit of a project and has a lot to iron out within his game. So you would be looking at the starting striker possibly being Cunha, who can do a job there almost as a false 9. But if you was to ask him where would you want to play, it wouldn't be there. And then do you take away from other elements and parts of his game? And do you actually kind of lose the possibility to play anyone else in case anything happened to him, whether that be injury, whether that be injury to other players where you need him to probably play as a left 10 or the right 10? Then United don't have a recognised striker alternative or a backup. And I think United or any club really needs another option. So it's a little bit difficult. It's a difficult one because it feels like if this was to be signed off, which I think United want to do, but the hesitancy is obviously not having a contingency plan in terms of having alternative options to Sesko or if Cunha plays up there. They're kind of probably wanting to see what the market will provide us. And this is where I ask, you got Chido Obi, who played last year, but made him look like he probably wasn't quite ready for this level of football. And that is why I'm pretty sure and confident that United probably do need to dip into the market. If we're after Semenyo, and Semenyo won't happen, the question is who then? Is it Yan Diomande from Ivory Coast who plays for Leipzig? Or are there possible out of public knowledge and perception forward attackers that United could be almost lured into taking a bit of a chance on? Is there any loan options? Any possible backup options within the European top 5 leagues? Or United basically going to be saying, let's bank on Sesko and Cunha as rotation options. Let's get a left winger type that can be a little bit of a runner, because Amram seems to be kind of veering towards this possible 4-3-3 option. But I think the Xerxi possible departure in January actually makes this transfer window very interesting for me, because United might be playing coy, being a little bit quiet in terms of, because it seemed like it was Semenyo or nothing. I think United can't rest on their laurels. Top 4 is up for grabs. Top 5 for sure. I think this team's capable of that. But what we don't want to happen is the run-in to happen where more injuries come towards the end of the season, where you've got minutes in the legs. The games become a little bit more high stakes and high intensity. Muscle injuries. And even though United have 1 game a week, we still are seeing the effects of that. With Mount, even Bruno. Cunha's had an injury himself. Thank goodness, and Mbumo and Ahmad have been alright up to now. But all it takes is one or two to go down and things start to look a little bit bleak. And we're already dealing with that now, with the possible absences. And absences for 2 or 3 games, you go on a poor run of results and it can derail your season, especially when the league has the parity it has and it's so tight. But it's not been good enough from Xerxi. I'm not sure he's even cracked 10 goals since he's been here. You can correct me if I'm wrong. He's not provided that assist in element that he had at Bologna when he was platformed by Thiago Motta. And quite frankly, it's just not worked out. And you are kind of seeing this revelation now that there's a certain pace, power, and dynamism that you need to your game to be an effective striker or just to be an effective forward in this league, the way the league is today and how physical and athletic it is. And if you don't have those elements of your game, you need to be in the top 1% in terms of your technical ability and your output, or have ball striking at least, which I think is one of the most desirable traits for forwards now. And Xerxi doesn't have any of these. I was a fan of him. I stood in his corner. I thought he brought something to the team that was a little bit different up front. But I've come to the conclusion that it's not worked out. He probably does need to go. It's just about where the United go next. Because if we allow Xerxi to go on loan, there will and has to be a signing that comes in the forward area. And if it's not Semenyo, the question is then who? And that's what I want you to let me know. And then as soon as I find out, I'm trying to find out. I've been asking questions. But this new Ineos 2-season rule, I do respect it. I think you only get 18 months to 2 years to make an impact. And if not, I think United need to cut the losses, because historically, we've been one that's always signing, always releasing or selling players a season or two late when their value is basically zero, and it becomes a little bit more desperate in a contractual situation as well. So I appreciate United becoming a little bit more ruthless. And if that means Xerxi needs to go, then so be it. But it's about who do United bring in next, and do we learn from our mistakes. But anyway, remember to like, comment, subscribe if you're new, hype the video. Just thought I'd do a quick one on Xerxi. I'm going to talk about the next 3 games, the points that we should expect as well. That's been a massive topic of debate. And I'll be back as well for the preview for the Wolves game, where we're trying to make it 2 games in a row, winning back-to-back for only the second time in Amarim's tenure.